Today we're going to take one recipe and make two beers. Yep, you heard me right. We're making two beers from the same recipe. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale recipe that I brewed a little while back, and we're going to use the same malt bill. We're going to use the same water profile. So we're basically going to create an American IPA. And when it comes time to the boil, we're going to split the batch in half. Half of it's going to go into the 35 litre Brewzilla. And into that I'm going to throw Galaxy hops on the same hop schedule as the Sierra Nevada. And then in the 100 litre, I'm going to leave the rest of the wort in the 100 litre. I'm going to use the normal Sierra Nevada Pale Ale hop schedule. And we'll end up with two American Pale Ales from one brew day. So how are we going to do that? Let's get into the recipe and see. So we're making a double batch. We're going to double the water, double the grain, double the salts. And at the end, once we've finished our mashing, we'll split the batch in two. So let's start with our water profile. We're going for 63 parts per million calcium, 28 magnesium, 43 sodium, 101 chloride, 181 SO4 sulfate, and 45 bicarbonate. So there's a total mash water of 40 litres, let's round it. So what we're going to do is double that to 80 litres of mash water. We're going to add 2 grams of baking soda, 7.4 grams of calcium chloride, 7.4 grams of canning salt or just plain old sodium chloride, 1.8 grams of chalk, and 22.8 grams of Epsom salt, 10 grams of gypsum. Now here we have 11.52 kilos of Gladfield American Ale malt to go in, and 500 grams, or now a kilogram, of Cara Munich 2. So that's keeping that 92 to 8% ratio. I think on their website, Sierra Nevada say 91 to 9, but the numbers for me have just worked out this way. The difference is going to come into the hop schedule. So where I've got 5.5 grams of Cascade at 90 minutes, 7.8 at 60, 45.4 at 30, and 61.5 at 0, those numbers are going to change slightly. So here you can see I've named this recipe the Intergalactic American Pale Ale. Everything's the same apart from the hop schedule. The schedule itself is the same, but it's just the amount of hops. The Galaxy hops have a 16.3% alpha acid, the ones that I'm using. So we only need 2.4 grams at 90 minutes, 3.4 at 60 minutes, 19.5 at 30 minutes, and 26.5 at 0 minutes. And that gives us exactly the same IBUs in this batch as we get in the Sierra Nevada clone batch. Just remember, this is a long boil. It's a 90-minute boil, so just watch your boil off rate. And a quick reminder that hot break can happen at any point in the boil. This is in the last 10 minutes after the Werflock tablet's been added. So just watch your hot break as well. Now here we see about 2 hours after pitching the yeast, we've got a nice yeast cake going here, a very active fermentation, and that's a great sign that the yeast is really healthy and quite active. As you can see from the graphs, the bottom right is the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and the top left is the Intergalactic Pale Ale. Both of them finish primary fermentation in around about 5 or 6 days. Now, as you can see from the Sierra Nevada, the pill, I suspect, was out of calibration. It says it stopped fermenting at about 1024, 1025. And as you can see, when the temperature started to drop, then the gravity started dropping as well. And that's something I've noticed with the pills, is that the temperature of the wort impacts the gravity calculation. And it's something that Kegland probably need to take into account in the future, is adjusting for the temperature of the wort. Now, the Anton Paar Smart Dens that I use measured the original gravity at 1055 and final gravity at 1010 for the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which gives us a final ABV of 5.9%. The Intergalactic Pale Ale started at 1050 and ended at 1011, and that gives us an ABV of 5.1%. Now the ABVs, so the Intergalactic Pale Ale was around about where I wanted it. I was aiming for around about that 5.5%. The Sierra Nevada came out a little bit higher. The Sierra Nevada out of the can, depending on whether you buy where you buy the can from and the size and that, it'll either be 5% or 5.5%. So that's, you know, pretty much on par with what I was expecting. So here we are at the end of fermentation, and it's time to taste and see how they came out. So here we have an original Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. We have my Sierra Nevada Pale Ale clone, and we have the Intergalactic Pale Ale, which is obviously the one that I made with Galaxy hops. So let's crack this open and pour. And straight away I can see a little bit of a difference. So the Sierra Nevada is crystal clear. Mine is just a little cloudy. It probably needs a couple more days just to clear up. And same with that, just a little cloudy. But I'm willing to accept that. It's only been in the lagering fridge for about 3 days, 4 days. So it's not fully carbonated yet. The Sierra Nevada, which fermented under pressure, held its head quite nicely up until a couple of minutes ago. It's starting to collapse now. The Intergalactic poured ahead, but it lost it fairly quickly. Now, it didn't ferment under pressure because the pressure in the all-rounder didn't hold. I think one of the seals needs to be replaced. So that's my next job, is to replace the seal on that and make sure that it holds pressure. Now the Sierra Nevada, what do I get here? I'm getting that classic Sierra Nevada smell. You get a bit of a malt backbone. And for me, it comes across as grapefruit marmalade. So if you think of orange marmalade, it's the grapefruit version of that. Very citrusy and grapefruity. Now this one, still getting the malt backbone. Not quite the same grapefruity flavour, grapefruity smell. But not far off. Maybe just a little bit more late boil hops would add to that. Now if I take the Galaxy version, oh yeah. Still getting the malt, but instead of grapefruit, I'm getting lemon, and quite strong as well. Very nice lemony smell on it. Now, that is a classic. That is what you expect from a Sierra Nevada. Getting that bit of a hoppy punch on the back of the palate. There's a bit of bitterness in there, but it's very well balanced with the malt. And again, getting those malty flavors coming through. But getting a decent amount of hop in there as well. Again, it's that grapefruity flavor that I'm getting. Now, my version of the Sierra Nevada. It's not far off. It's a little creamier, if anything else. That's your classic Sierra Nevada. And then very nice. You're still getting the same malt expression. You're getting the same punchy hoppiness. Getting the same grapefruity flavors, but a touch of a creamy mouthfeel. Yeah, that's nice. Now on this one, still getting that lemon smell. Maybe a hint of pineapple as well. Yeah, no, pineapple or passion fruit, I'm not 100% sure. Passion fruit. There's passion fruit on the palate. Again, you're still getting that maltiness, still getting that great malt backbone, not overly sweet, so it's dried out a fair bit, but definitely getting a big punch of passion fruit on the palate here. The bitterness isn't quite as punchy as these two, and that's, I think, because of the passion fruit that comes through. Not quite as punchy, but still there. Oh, this is a hard job. So I have to choose between these two beers to send into a competition next week. I could easily send that in, but it's just a clone of the Sierra Nevada. This one is something a little bit different. It's an American Pale Ale, but it's got a little hint of tropical fruit in there. Rather than the grapefruit, it's got a hint of tropical fruit. So I might throw a little bit of Biofine in there just to clear it up. Excuse me. And then send this one in for the comp because it's just a little bit different. That is really nice. And it still has that creamy mouthfeel of this one. So there we go. First brew back after getting an infection in the brew house. I've done a double batch and I've split between classic Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and a Galaxy-based version. The same thing, exactly the same hop schedule, exactly the same IBUs, but more of a tropical flavour with this one as opposed to your citrusy flavour in here. If you've enjoyed seeing how you can make two beers from one batch and think that this content is worthwhile, then click the subscribe button and the notification bell down there. Now, I see from YouTube that about 25–28% of our viewers still haven't subscribed to the channel, so do us a favour and do that. Once you've done that, click the like button as well and let YouTube know that this content is interesting, and that way it gets out to more people and the channel gets out to more viewers. If you want to support the channel in any way, you can go to www.backyardbrewer.com.au/shop and you can select from any of the goodies that we've got in there. We've got t-shirts like this, the Carpe Servizia, seize the beer. We've got other t-shirts in there. We've got beanies, we've got glasses. a whole heap of merch in there, and I've tried to make it as cheap as I can, but a little bit of each of those sales comes towards the channel. You can also go over to Patreon and subscribe to us on Patreon, and all of the funds collected from Patreon go directly back into the brewing. So they'll go to things like purchasing ingredients, purchasing new equipment, upgrading our production equipment so that the production value improves on the channel. So that's patreon.com/backyardbrewer. Otherwise, yeah, just click and like and subscribe and leave comments below, ask questions. But in any case, that's the end of the program. I'm going to salute you with the Intergalactic Pale Ale version. Cheers.